in this video, we are going to have the example problem. A ball is tossed up straight upward in the air. After 2 seconds, the ball reaches its maximum height. What is the maximum height of the ball? So as soon as we see tossed straight up in the air, we know that this is a free fall problem because we're moving only in the y direction, and we're moving through the quote-unquote air, even though we're ignoring the frictional force from the air. And that tells us that our acceleration is going to be a negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Our goal here is to find max height, and at max height we know v final is equal to 0. And so displacement is our known because height is a displacement. And we know it takes 2 seconds in order to be able to reach that max height. Now if we go through our kinematic equations, we run into an issue because any of the kinematic equations that has displacement in it also has velocity initial in it. Velocity initial is not 0. If velocity initial was 0, the ball would just be sitting on the person's hand. So the ball has to be given some sort of initial velocity for it to move upward to then reach max height where velocity is 0 and then drop back down. So in order to solve for displacement, we need to first find velocity initial. Luckily there is one kinematic equation without displacement in it. So that is this one here. I know my velocity final is 0. I'm trying to find initial velocity. I know acceleration. It's negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Even though it's moving upward, it's still negative times the 2 seconds. And we get an initial velocity of 19.6 meters per second. We then can plug into one of our kinematic equations that has displacement in it. I chose to use this one right here. So displacement equals v initial times time plus 1/2 acceleration times squared. So I plug in my 19.6 meters per second times 2 seconds plus 1/2 times a negative 9.8 meters per second squared times 2 seconds squared, and that gives me 19.6 meters. This means that to go from our v initial of 19.6 meters per second up to max height where v final is equal to 0 meters per second, the distance between here and here is going to be 19.6 meters, and it's going to take 2 seconds in order to travel that distance.